It kind of reminds me of the early days of social, when Facebook was all about poking friends and throwing sheep. Welcome to Serious Social. Today we're going to go clubbing. Clubhouse is the talk of the social media world, the latest thing to rival TikTok conversations in marketing departments everywhere. The big question is, of course, what should brands and marketers do about it? Should they do anything at all? Is it littered with opportunities, or is it a flash in the pan driven by lockdown desperation? So, whilst blogs and pods and pundits talk about how to use it, I thought we'd take a look at where the value is for businesses and marketeers. Mind you, okay, I think I need to take a little bit of a backtrack here. Not everybody knows what Clubhouse is. In a nutshell, it's a social media app that's audio based only. You make connections, join clubs, but mostly join rooms you can listen in, interact, or lead. Right now, you're either in the club and loving it, in it and baffled, or FOMO and waiting for an invite or an Android version, or you don't give a hoot. Clubhouse may not be the next big social network. It has amassed 2 million active users in the last year, but in no way does that compare with the big four social platforms. It has the worst UX ever. I mean, I do this for a living, and it took me days to work out how to get around it. It kind of breaks all sorts of privacy laws, and there is a word out that recordings are kept somewhere in China. It's a wild space, yet it is significant. It's signaling a trend for audio that just might stick around. It's also less algorithmically focused. I don't know if that's kind of how you say it. It's kind of more curated by you, with a kind of an odd sense of freedom in the way that you can connect and choose the content that you really want. It kind of reminds me of the early days of social, when Facebook was all about poking friends and throwing sheep, when brands only got pages in 2006 and then ran millions of dreadful comps to attract followers. Do you remember those kind of like this with big pointy arrows in? A time when Twitter was seen as a free SMS tool. The days when we paid for texts, back when all the platforms made mistakes. They had backdoors that could be hacked. They tried functions that clearly failed. The usability was generally pretty grim and frustrating, and it often broke. I mean, most of us who have been around for a bit on social remember the Twitter whale as a regular occurrence. So no, Clubhouse is not perfect, and it's not slick. It's still in beta. And yes, it's filled with sleazy snake-hole salespeople. It's attracted many that have planet-size egos, and you can continuously stumble across gurus plugging the latest growth hacks. The joy, of course, is that discussions are ephemeral, not recorded, and if you find yourself in a room full of nasties, you can turn heel and run out without any of the humiliation of leaving an auditorium at a conference. But only a few weeks into this kind of increased interest in the morass of crap that's on Clubhouse, there are the seeds of an audio network that might just prove to be the next big thing. I mean, we've got celebs like Oprah, Drake, Kanye. We've got icons like Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, and business leaders, and a plethora of influencers. They're all hosting rooms. Niche groups abound, ranging from topics and hobbies. There are knowledge exchanges, cultural gatherings, and shared curiosities, all of which draw people together. And the networking right now is phenomenal. So where is the value for you as marketeers and for brands? So I'd like to start with you, or me, the marketeers, and why we just need to join Clubhouse. It's how we'll understand the app. It's how you make sense of how it's being used and where the opportunities lie. Once you're in, you need to hang out to get the hang of it. You need to work out how it works for you. Who do you want to connect with? Which rooms you like and which clubs you'll join? Curate your own rooms and start one of your own groups. When I first started in social, we played with the platforms. It is the only way to really uncover how it's being used when there are no insight tools and no analytics. Let me give you an example. For instance, in the last couple of weeks while I've been playing, there is no mechanism right now for approving what other panelists say. So if you like what they say, you can't applaud them, you can't clap them. So users will flash their mute buttons in a form of applause, but you wouldn't know that if you weren't playing. So learn how the Clubhouse culture is evolving. Be a voyeur for a time, maybe be a listener. You may even enjoy it. You'll also learn the rapidly evolving room etiquette, the need for moderators and panelists not to speak too long, the fact that it's perfectly acceptable to go get your Ocado delivery while you chat away. You know who you are, Katy. The habit now, of course, is also to reset the room because people are joining halfway through, and you need to think about how, and you can see how people are moving listeners between panel and the floor. So there's lots of little nuances that you need to get the hang of. Get curious and explore the opportunities for coaching, learning, sparking ideas. It's really important to free fall in a new network. Watch how people behave. Look at what draws audiences. Look for your audience. Build your network. Meet interesting people. And you will find some wonderful people on there. People you wouldn't normally come across. The other day I was on a room chat, and one marketeer chatting said that they had met 2 potential partners. And that's a brand marketeer who just would never have met those people otherwise. When a network launches in beta, there is so much that will change that you now have this incredibly rare opportunity to see it in its rawest form. And that's when you spot the opportunities. So when it comes to your brand, there's an obvious first mover advantage. I mean, I was in a room the other day with Brewdog on Fudge Kitchen chatting away. There will be more, and it won't be long before the big brands make their way onto the club. But right now, there is no advertising, no paid promotion. The playing field is beautifully level, so make the most of it. The companies that do will learn fast, grow communities, and create a recognizable audio presence. There's another good reason to join. Fake profiles are proliferating. With no verification process, it's easy for clubs to be named after brands. For a short period of time, Brad Pitt was present. It was not him, but a photographer named Jacob. He fessed up in the end. And I've already found Corn Foods lurking on there, although I think I'm the only one following them. I don't think it's actually them. It might be, it might not be. Who knows? You'll need to do a bit of brand policing, if nothing else. Right now, the best way for your brand to be on Clubhouse is to be a person. Not a person named after your brand, but a person who represents your brand. A real human. You can set a club name as your brand, and rooms can be named whatever you want, but it still needs to be a real life person to own the conversation. Think conference rather than social network in its style. This is not something that you're going to abdicate to the intern. It needs smart, savvy, and chatty people who have something to say and can represent the brand. And having a brand represented by a person is perfectly timed right now. I mean, authenticity is being demanded and trust is at its lowest. People want to know the people behind the brands. They hunger for the human voice. We see it in the growth of voice-based content, such as podcasts and audiobooks. If this suits your brand, if you can be this personality that people can align with, then it's time to let them hear you. You can start small. Maybe a private room with colleagues, a creative meeting, whilst you go for a walk, a chance to talk and be expressive in different ways. It seems so much more friendly than a conference call. I think it might be the little icons of people that you see and they kind of flash when they're talking. It feels a much more friendly space. It's also a perfect space for a round table with customers or industry peeps. A discussion without having to stare into a screen means a much more comfortable dinner conversation, for example. You don't have to watch people eating. One thing, though, go brand light and talk about what you know best. Don't be salesy. talk about your expertise, be a thought leader. I do think B2B brands will thrive if they grab the opportunity to share expertise. The format on Clubhouse also lends itself to a brand series, a set of episodes with maybe an individual, but could be a star, a celebrity, or a fantastic storyteller. Unlike podcasts, you can make this interactive. So bringing things like comedy into the room or music, and you can create your own two-way radio with your customers. By the way, I've already heard a few pre-produced jingles and radio sounds being played. So that's something to think about. It also allows you to create community, but small ones, niche ones. Right now, room sizes float around a max of around, except for Kenya, who kind of went over that. But generally, you're limited. So, for example, if you're a consumer brand, you might look at segments of your audience, ones that might value more bespoke conversations in particular areas. With no advertising options, some brands are looking to the growing influencers on the network. There may possibly be paid influence opportunities. Brands should consider how they want to engage content creators, build a co-brand with them, or build a community around a few. It's a bit early to tell, and right now there's no way to understand how that's going to be regulated, or whether or not Clubhouse will follow what TikTok has done and create this kind of payments system for creators. After all, the platform has just got around to dealing with trolls. The options for brands are growing, and with a large cash investment into Clubhouse, it's likely more functionality will be coming. The key to making the most from Clubhouse is to take a strategic approach. Excuse me. You need to ask yourselves a few questions. Things like, is it a good fit for your audience? I mean, are they there? How accessible do you want to be as a brand? Can your brand be carried by a single person or several people from the company, or do you need a celeb or an influencer or whatever? What will be your voice? And that's not, forget tone of voice. We have enough trouble with that. But real voice, what could be your sound? How might you deal with complaints? What happens if people come and moan at you? What value is in it for the audience? How will they benefit? Where does it fit in your wider marketing strategy? And more importantly, what value is it for your business? The joy of something new is that you can test and learn. You can make mistakes and try again, all without having to throw big media budgets at it. So have some fun, make customers connect, make customers connections, and play with the art of storytelling. Even if at the end of lockdown, we see a decline in this exponential growth in Clubhouse, do not think for one moment that audio is going away. Already, Twitter has Spaces launching on a base of 330 million users. It won't be long till Facebook or Insta do the copycat thing. And a new platform for interactive podcasting called Fireside is waiting in the wings. Marketers will need to lean back into radio days and bring back the power of audio to their social media marketing. So get clubbing, have fun, and get chatting. That's it from me. I hope that helps. We're joined by CJ next week for another Serious Social, where he's going to make very clear why social marketing is not and never will be digital PR. That's going to be a good one. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.